What are the rules of a relationship? Each of us are raised in different households, and each household has unspoken or unwritten set of rules about communication, about the way we express ourselves, about the way we show respect. And these experiences define us. They define who we are, what our expectations are, and how we express ourselves. So it's very important to sit with your spouse or your future spouse and discuss these rules of your relationship. For instance, as far as the rule of relationship regarding respect, how do you express respect in your household? What is it? Because there's some people, the form of respect is to keep your voice down, not to make eye contact, and stay quiet. This is respect. In another household, respect is speaking up, expressing yourself so that you show that you care about the other person. Now imagine these two individuals coming from two different households with two different sets of rules. They come together. Guess what? They're always going to feel frustrated because they are disrespected. And each one feels that they are following the rule. They're following the rule that they have been taught. And they feel that they are doing their utmost. And they don't understand when their spouse tells them, you're being disrespectful. They don't get it. They're like, I'm being very respectful. And so that's why you need to sit down and have a dialogue about this. How do you like to be shown respect? Because this is the key here. Because you always hear, like anytime I have couples therapy, that is one of the main complaints of men is that my wife doesn't respect me. And I never stop there. I never just turn to the wife and say, show more respect. I ask them, how will you feel respected? Please define in behavioral terms what your wife needs to do in order for you to feel respected. So that way it's specified. And he will start saying, well, the way I'll feel respected if she doesn't yell. And the way I feel respected is that, she listens to my suggestions. She follows my suggestions. Or she has my meal prepared. Or she takes interest in the work that I do. So these are specific things that the wife usually doesn't have a clue. A lot of times, I tell them, well, how does your husband like to receive the respect? And sometimes they don't know. Others, and it just all depends about how in tune they are to their spouse. Some know step by step. I know if I do these things, my spouse will be so happy. And then sometimes they choose not to do it because they just want to get even, or they're doing some kind of manipulative game with their spouse. So it's critical to know how your spouse likes to be treated. And it's important not to use that as a way, it's not a bargaining chip. You do it because this is like fi sabilillah. You're in this marriage and you want Allah's blessing, and you do it out of to seek Allah's pleasure. And if you have that intention, just like when you have the intention of, doing a charity, if it's done with the right intention that you want to do khair and you want to please Allah, then look at the barakat that you get. Look at the amount of spiritual cleansing that you get from this act. If you do it just to show off, it's worthless, right? So in the same way, if you are giving to the marriage and you're doing it for the sake of Allah, then Allah will put barakat in your marriage. Allah will put love in the heart of your spouse. But if you're only doing it, if you are just to manipulate your spouse to know how I can get more out of them, then there's not going to be that sense of blessing in your marriage. So the key thing to keep in mind is to love for the sake of Allah. Do your best to do things for the sake of Allah, even within your marriage, and find out what the rules of relationships are for your spouse, the showing of respect, expressing. Are they comfortable with you expressing yourself? Are they how they want the love to be expressed? And if you don't know these things, then you could really ruin your marriage. But once you know it, it's magical. And I've seen people on the brink of a divorce. I mean, people who have gotten into actual physical fights. And when you start redefining what it is that they need to do, redefining what respect is for the spouse, what love is, and suddenly they become friends again, and suddenly they're able to overlook all the negative things that is still present. It hasn't gone away, but they're able to overlook it because they're getting what they need in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.